Hey.
Hello, welcome back.
How do you do this? Hi. Hey.
It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks.
Have we talked since the holidays?
I don't remember.
I think we might have done one after. Yeah, I think we did one after the holidays.
I can actually check right now on my telephone. It is January 6th was our last episode.
Oh, so we did. Okay. So yeah, this is episode 15.
We got two in for January. Welcome back to the Twin Tails Studio podcast.
A video podcast. If you're not watching on YouTube, you can watch us stare at you across this table in my basement. It's pretty exciting.
I'm your host, Adam Sadler.
And with him as always, sometimes, Garth Algar, Brady Sadler. We're here to talk to you about games, books, politics, weather, all kinds of fun
investments,
financial
advice,
give you financial advice, legal advice, counsel. It is coming up on February because tomorrow, actually, when this
will be out in February.
Yeah, this will be released in February. Because we're recording on a Saturday. This comes out on a Tuesday. And February is when we are determined to launch this bad boy. And if you're not watching the video, I'm pointing to our Malice of Light Adventures logo.
Yes.
Because the Game Found campaign is coming.
I will say that it is entirely out of our hands for the information we need to launch. So we're hoping we get it all in time. Especially, it's mainly, the main thing is we need estimated shipping rates because our fulfillment partner is currently working on those and they have to deal with getting all information from different carriers. It's a complicated process, but we want to make sure we have the most accurate, up-to-date estimated shipping rates because we will be part of the Stable Pledge program, which, part of that guarantee is that if the shipping rate changes by like 10% or more, you can get a refund, and we don't want to deal with that because one thing is with this project we've mentioned before is we kind of want to go into production right away. There's not going to be months and months of development time like most crowdfunding projects are.
Yeah, it's become sort of standard where a lot of publishers will launch their campaign just when they have enough to show of it, like enough art for one, vertical slice of the game. But we actually decided we were going to have this ready to go before launching, which is like it's almost there. We're doing like final development touch-ups now on the game.
We have some updates with that.
Yeah, we'll go in more depth about the small changes we've made to not any core rules, but just like the content and some tweaks. It's been going great though. I'm feeling really awesome about the game. I just got all of the files out. Well, not technically out. All the files are ready to go to the printer for the books. So the 3 books. I actually have a print proof.
Hang on, you're getting into. Let's start up all the company updates real quick.
We started a company.
The first up is as part of the launch date is we have the last 2 sculpts being worked on right now. Tom is finishing those up. So those will be the last of the actual assets. We need all the arts in. Once those sculpts are done, we were able to, send a preliminary final quote to the factory, RFQ, requesting a quote, and that will help us, obviously set a proper pledge funding goal. But yeah, that's all good. Waiting on shipping rates, and go ahead and talk about your book.
Yeah, this isn't dependent on the launch date. It's just something I was actually hoping to show on this episode because we have a video, but I don't get it until Monday. The print proof of the Malice of Light Part 1 book box, which is part of the Game Found campaign. It's going to be books 1, 2, and 3. Book 3, The Smoldering Vein, just got done. I just finished with the edits literally yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Yeah, I think it was yesterday because that was Friday.
I think it was yesterday.
So yesterday I finished all of the edits. Second round of edits came in. They were a lot less, luckily, but yeah, I'm feeling really good about the manuscript. Got it all laid out, so it's ready to go to the printer. But I have the actual print proof, which you can watch a video of on our YouTube channel. I
was going to say,
post on your YouTube channel.
You were going to say you're going to share it, but I think that we've already shared a video that's probably higher quality than what you would share anyway.
I know, but I don't have the same, feminine hands and
exactly.
And I don't have the plants on the table. It's going to be more
better.
Look, I know, but if you want it personalized from the author himself.
But anyway, to say all that, if you haven't seen it yet on our YouTube page, we have a video from the printer showing off the sample. It looks great. It looks fantastic. So anybody who is interested in picking up the book during the Game Found, you're going to get a really, really nice collector's item. And I will say that I've actually been finally finding time to read myself, and I restarted Withered Roots because I wanted to kind of read The Smoldering Vein from scratch, like fresh
in.
with fresh. I honestly, as I was reading Withered Roots, I kind of wanted to go back and reread Accurate Sky because it's been so long since I read it. I read it back when he first wrote it, the first beta reading or whatever. So I was reading Withered Roots. I kind of been flying through it. I'm about 75% done with it. So I'll probably finish. I have a work trip next week, so I'm sure I'll finish it, and I'll start reading The Smoldering Vein during that trip at the airport or whatever.
I'm supposed to get the first copies, like the print-on-demand copies, not next week. When are you leaving?
I leave on Monday for...
Oh, this Monday? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll get them like next week. I have like 20 copies coming in for... that was another thing I was going to mention is because February is going to be a packed month. So we have the Game Found launching. I have like 3 or 4 different appearances. I have to double check. I know this coming Saturday, November 7th, I'll be doing a little signing at Barnes & Noble here in Noblesville. I always think it's funny. Barnes & Noble, Noblesville.
Barnes & Noblesville.
Barnes & Noblesville. So it's going to be an Accurate Sky signing because I never did one there for the Accurate Sky, but it's also just kind of a way to promote the Smoldering Veins. I'll have like some flyers for the Game Found campaign. I'll have some pieces of the game there to show off on the table. So if you happen to be in Noblesville, come say hi, come hang out. I'll have copies of the 2 Relic Myers books also. I think they still have those in stock. So if you want some signed copies, come on out. And then I think the following weekend or the weekend after, I think it's Valentine's Day, I'll be in Lafayette the 14th doing the same thing. Then we have the Game Found campaign, hopefully sometime around there because the Smoldering Vein release date is February 17th.
Yes, Brady would love to have the Game Found launching around that, either on that day or around it. That's kind of where we're aiming for. We don't want to lock it in yet as a public announcement saying, hey, we're launching on this day because things are in flux.
Yeah, as long as it overlaps sometime. Because the main reason is because there's a lot of marketing going around a book release, obviously. But one of those things, like if you're getting to like marketing nerd territory or book promotions, I have to research this a lot, obviously. But one of the key what do you call it? Like
factors,
practices, or like there's like a term for that, but best practices for book marketing is doing, especially if it's a series, and this is book 3 of a series, so you're supposed to like do a giveaway or like a reduced Kindle exclusive release thing. There's like a countdown, I think they call it, but you set a lower price, like so the Accurate Sky is going to be available for $1 on the release date of Withered Roots, or Smoldering Vein. So the idea being is like you're just drawing attention to it, but it'd be great if we could do that same thing for the game because it's like just more eyes visible on the brand. So that's why we're trying to overlap. I mean, it's probably goes without saying it'd be beneficial to have the cross promotion, but that's the main goal. Other than that, and I also into February, I think it's the last weekend of February or it's the first weekend of March, I'll be in Williamsburg, Virginia, oddly enough, to do I think it's called Scares That Care, which is going to be obviously more geared toward the Relic Myers thing, but that's going to come in to play because I don't know if we talk about this now or later in the episode, but our loose goal is to start getting the Relic Myers game in shape soon as possible this year so we can have a good eye for like what we need for art and everything, because that takes a lot of planning because we want to hit for like October time frame. So
it's very tough for us to plan without seeing how this first campaign does, because as a new company and because of certain reputations we have with past employers that we worked with, we don't know what to expect with this campaign, but we want to make sure it's successfully funded and fulfilled before we even talk about the next campaign. But ideally, we would get this game, if it funds, we're going to get it fulfilled as early as possible, and hopefully in the fall, and that would leave us the opening to do the next campaign. Now, we would also love to expand this game. Like if Mouse Light Adventures funds well and people like it, we want to jump on that with an expansion. But there's also like people, Brady wants to start the next Relic Myers book, and we have this cool idea for a Relic Myers game, and we want to work on what's inspiring us. So it's tough to decide, but I do think Relic Myers would make the most sense as our next project because it would line up with the next book.
Yeah,
it's also a very unique property.
Yeah, it's also just like the business model, because like ideally that's what our campaigns will like. Hopefully, we're setting the stage for what our campaigns will look like. So with Mouse Light Adventures, you have this awesome compact game. This really nice chunky box, tons of adventure in it, and then this like box of books, and they work together in concert. So like that's kind of like our business model, I would say, our vision as a company. So it makes sense to, and I'm regardless of the company, I want to make the next Relic Myers book like an October Halloween thing, because like last year I felt like When Harmony of Hexes came out this kind of spring summer last year in 2025, it was cool and exciting and all, but I was still kind of like thinking, man, I wish I would have like aimed this for like Halloween, because I love that spooky season, and it's just a great time to celebrate it. So
it does seem a little weird though if you want to do a Relic Myers trilogy collector set when you're planning on 4 books for it, like for the series.
It's always done.
So you have 3 by itself, and then
people
1 comes later.
Yeah,
it's because it's not as symmetrical as
here's the thing,
Mouse of Light.
Here's the thing. I'll give a behind the scenes look, because Adam hasn't heard this from me. But the way it's going to work is we'll do a box set of the first 3 Relic Myers books, freshman, sophomore, junior year. It's like, here's a collection. There's a 4th book coming, but when that 4th book comes, it's going to come with a game as well, or an expansion to a game, and it's going to come in a box where it has the 1 book and then a game in the box in the slipcase that you take out and put the other 3 books in to replace the game.
He's just making this up on the spot.
No, I think ahead about it. It's the same thing with Malice of Light.
Well, okay, he tells me everything he thinks all the time, but I haven't heard this yet, so he must have just...
No, it's like it's either going to be like a mass market small box game, or like an expansion or a standalone thing. It's going to sock it into a slipcase to occupy the space. It's going to follow the same dimensions of the 3 books, because when you get
the first slipcase is just trash then?
Yeah, I mean, you just put it on the shelf and put some foam in it or something.
Well, you heard it here first. If that happens, I
think ahead about this, and I steal these ideas from like companies like Van Ryder, who do the big boxes for their Final Girl games, because they have these boxes that fit all of the individual like feature films, like VHSs, but like oftentimes if you back it and you don't get certain ones, they have like something to fill the slot there. It's like some placeholder box that has stuff in it. So I've always had that in mind. He just doesn't think as far ahead of me. So.
Yeah, and it's also challenging because on top of this we have games ready to go. Like we have Hour of Need ready to go. That game could just be reprinted with our logo, but we just don't know when we want to do that. And again, like we mentioned before, we'd rather not do a crowdfunding campaign for just to reprint the game. We could, but that just takes up an entire huge chunk of the year for that campaign. Instead of a new game that's exciting,
we're too ambitious for that.
But again, I mentioned this Mouse Light Adventures. Like even if we didn't do that as our next campaign, I think after Relic Myers would probably be a Mouse Light Adventures because reprint expansion. That would be the goal.
Because my goal's always been to do 1 book a year. I was a little behind on Smoldering Vein, because it was originally supposed to come out last year, but I put out 5 books last year, so I had to like kind of rearrange some things. So and we put out a book, the Ransom Creek Remains. So ideally, like after this campaign, if we could do Relic Myers, then I could start working on the next fantasy book. Which is a good trade-off.
Why don't you take a drink there? So
excuse me.
As far as the campaign, the Malice Light Adventures campaign goes, the Game Found, we're getting pretty decent follower count. We're only like about a third of what I'd hoped we would have when we launched, because I'm just like, I want to make sure we're definitely going to fund first day.
There's a lot of projects though.
But yeah, also like the word's been spreading more through ads and things like that. But we've gotten some people from that were like backers of Blacklist projects who aren't familiar with us or our work, and they just know us from Blacklist, and they have come and said their opinion on different YouTube videos. And Brady and I always try to chime in and like try to give context, because we don't like misinformation spreading around, but it's kind of pointless because people just think we're arguing. We're not. We're just trying to provide information, and so they have a better idea of who we are and what we're trying to do.
I will say, like, almost every one of my interactions have been pretty receptive. It's just these people don't stay as tuned into the industry, so they don't follow like our podcast. They don't follow any interviews we've done. So like it's kind of easy to come in and be like all excitable and be like, I know this, I know these guys from X, Y, and Z. But once we explain that the situation, it's usually they're pretty receptive of it. So I'm thankful for that at least.
Well, I do want to again, I don't want to keep hammering on this point every single episode we do, but I do think that there are some people that might be coming to this podcast as they find it recently, and they might not go back and watch all the old episodes or listen to.
That's your job.
And you should. But I just want to make it clear to anybody who is familiar with us through Blacklist, is to make it clear that we left Blacklist Games because we were designers there with no control over how the money was handled or the business and all that stuff. We were in charge of developing the products and designing games, which I think we did a pretty good job of. Almost every game we did at Blacklist, I'm pretty proud of. I think the ones we've talked about, like, with Alter Quest and Brook City, of things we've had issues with.
As products,
but as products, they're cool. Like, we recently got a sample of Dire Alliance, like the final copy of Dire Alliance, and wow, that game is amazing. Like, it's as a product, it's awesome. And we want more than anything for Blacklist to fulfill that product and get it to people.
Yeah. And we can't step in, like, we don't have, first off, it's not like business smart to do, like, step in if we had like the capital to just take over and say, we'll fulfill this. Like, it needs to get done. We have limited communications with Blacklist, but when we do, it's like we try to push for any more information we could share. Obviously we won't have any, or we'd share some, but like we do what we can from our end because we want to see those things, get delivered, because they look amazing. They were awesome. They're cool projects, cool games, and they could have futures,
Yeah.
So.
And we're not going to make promises for things that are out of our control, but things can be fixed. Like Street Masters, for example. Like Steamforged Games took that up and actually fulfilled that to backers, and that game is available now. People can play it.
And we worked with them. We were helpful in the process, and we were glad to be part of it. So
now this is a little. I'm not sure if we mentioned this before, but like this might be new information that I'm revealing, and anybody who is familiar with Lasting Tales or knows people who backed it, that was one of Blacklist's most successful, like, funding-wise campaigns, but it never got produced. The miniatures were acquired by Wildspire, and they actually crowdfunded Realm Reforged, I believe is what it's called, and I think that all fulfilled. Like, I think people
so.
got that.
I know at least some people have it. Yeah.
But I will let you know that we are in discussions with Alex at Blacklist Games about Lasting Tales, because we want that game. It's complicated because it hasn't been manufactured. As far as we know, it doesn't exist. There's a PDF you can buy for it on Drive-Thru RPG, but we want that game. But we are in no position financially, or like we would never want to take on the responsibility of fulfilling that project that was not run by us.
Yeah, it's not smart. It's not smart for a new company like ourselves that's ran by two people to acquire a property that's worth negative 1 point whatever million dollars.
I mean,
so.
like to manufacture all that stuff and then to ship it to all these backers, it's like we could never do that. If we did, we could, if we won the lottery or something and we were rich, we could do that. But we just, even no matter how successful our projects are, we couldn't just take on a project like that and stay alive as a business. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, money is like you have to make money somehow. It's
but we are exploring options, and we want more than anything to have that game under our umbrella, because it was a dream project of mine. Anybody who knows me might know that I pitched that product at Blacklist when I was there, because we successfully funded Fantasy Series 1, and I said, okay, well, let's follow up with Series 2, but let's make a game with it. And I had this idea for a cooperative skirmish RPG style game. We got Mark Latham on board, and he did an awesome job with it. Did exactly what I wanted. So it's kind of like Warhammer Quest style game, but on a tabletop skirmish format.
If you think of like Frostgrave or Rangers of Shadowdeep meets like Warhammer Quest style game, kind of combined into this amalgamation. But
it's a hardback book. We had some card supplement ideas and stuff like that, but it's a hardback book. Anyway, we're exploring possibilities of how to get that, but the downside, we couldn't do anything with it unless there was some kind of a way to make previous backers get the game.
Yeah, we're exploring. We're exploring ideas. We're in talks with Wildspire also, because they were helpful in the process of when they acquired those miniatures. So we're getting some information from them about how that all went. So yeah, we've learned a lot from all of that stuff in the background. So we're going to explore ideas to see if we can help make it right. Even though it's make it right sounds weird, because it's not like on us to make it right, but we want to, because we want it to succeed. We want it to become a thing, because
and it's complicated because we're not going to step in and be like, we're going to take the responsibility of this project, because it's not ours.
It's so out of our hands.
The product, we were fully in charge of that product. I laid that book out like myself. Like I took the graphics and the template, and I laid out the content how I wanted it, and then I passed off the graphic design. I think Chris kind of cleaned it up, but yeah, it's a great book. If you haven't checked it out, it's on our Drive-Thru RPG. You can look at some PDF previews, I think. But anyway, I wanted to mention that because, again, we're all about transparency. We want people to know what our goals are as a company. It's hard because we don't want to just label anybody who comes and throws accusations as trolls or something, but it doesn't seem like some people want to know the information. They just want to vent their frustrations out and act like they're warning people away from us.
Yeah, it's a strange phenomenon too, because like I mentioned before, we've been fortunate because a lot of the people who come in and they might have things that I think might be like kind of nasty things to say, just out, coming out of the woodwork. But then it's like, there's some emotions behind that, obviously, because you lose money and stuff. But like I said, when we explain our side, it usually is a good conversation there. So like it's a nice interaction. But it is kind of this weird phenomenon where somebody comes in and they're fans of our games and they want to see us succeed, but they still feel compelled to warn people, even though like they don't have the right information. It's like, if you want it to succeed, like that's not the way to go about it,
And I guess I'm just take things differently, because as a consumer, I'm not rich or well off or anything like that. But like I remember I actually backed a scam project one time, that Game Zone Miniatures. They were doing that Hero Quest.
Yeah.
Like they had the license to do Hero Quest in Spain, I think it was, but they tried to do like a worldwide crowdfunding project, and I backed it because like, oh, this is before Hero Quest was rebooted by Hasbro, and I was like, I love Hero Quest. I would love to get a new version of it. And it was risky, but I've backed it for like $175 and never saw anything from it ever. And it was my own fault. I took the risk.
Yeah, there was one of the very first Kickstarters I did back, like this was like 2012 or 2011, I think it was. There was this like really small game called Airborne in Your Pocket, and it was like a solitaire game where you had a small deck of cards and you had like a little soldier, and it's a very simplistic game. You have these little tiles you're laying out, but I love the theme because you're parachuting in and you're going to bomb a bunker. So like I got on theme alone, and plus it's a cheap little product. But I ended up like pumping money because they kept adding these add-ons. So I think I was up to like $100 on this little small game.
I never understood what you put back in that for.
Well, because it had these cool modules and stuff. I was just excited about it, and it was just super thematic. But that one didn't deliver. It was a total flop, and like whoever ran it just walked away with the money. Didn't even give any excuses or anything. So like I was like, bummer. But then somebody else came in, like I think it was like 5 or 10 years later, and said, hey, we're gonna run this again. So if you backed it, we can. I forget if they even gave us a reduced rate or they just ran a new one. And
I think you're picking out again.
Dude, you say that every time I hear it though. It's quiet. But like I went in there and I just paid again for it. Like I already lost some money on it. But like I'll get it again. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess
I'm an idiot though. So.
I'm not like careless with my money. I'm pretty, I watch what I spend. But if I'm crowdfunding something, I kind of go in there knowing that it's a risk because the product doesn't exist.
It's the same. It's the same peaks.
Yeah. That's why I keep backing away. But yeah,
no, I'm saying it's not a problem. It's not a problem. Stop
detracting from my conversation, man. You're totally lost my train of thought now. But anyway, I digress from this long, spiel. Basically, just anybody who is only experienced with us through Blacklist games, I would encourage you to kind of watch some of our previous episodes where we give you more context about what happened with our time there. But long story short, we were employees at a company, and when we found out what was actually going on, we left the company. And that we figured at the time that was the best way to handle it, because we were taking a salary and that company clearly was having money problems, fulfilling projects. So we figured we better not be taking any more money.
Yeah.
We better go find it.
And the funny thing is, the biggest criticism I see from people who learn this story, it's like, well, why didn't they say anything? Why didn't they warn anybody? It's like, I mean, first off, like, as employees of a company, like you don't like, even if you're leaving the company, you don't say, hey, I don't like what they were doing because they're doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, I don't agree with this. But like in the long run, like where we're at now, we acquired Hour of Need, we acquired Brook City. You can't just like burn bridges.
Yeah,
man.
That's an important, the most important thing is people think that we're, like we owe them explanations about every little detail that goes on, but there's a lot of things that we have a lot of things tied up into our time at Blacklist, and a lot of that is projects we've kind of created, and they came from us, and we don't want them to just disappear or like never. We want them to find a way to the people who back them or give them a new life in the future, and that's kind of what what we did already with a few of our games. We kind of want to keep doing that until everything we worked on is under our control again. I mean, Street Masters, we've accepted that's gone. That's with Steamforged Games. We're happy with that. Honestly, people always mention Street Masters like their favorite. I don't. It's not my favorite at all. Like I have too many bad memories about that product. I'm just like I'm glad that that's with Steamforge, and I'm happy with it. But if someone mentioned that in like one of the GameFound comments where they said they liked Street Masters, but they don't think this looks as good. If you ever came up to me and said you want to play Street Masters or Mouse Light Adventures, I would knock Street Masters off the floor.
I'll defend Street Masters, but it is like Mouse Light Adventures is just light years ahead in game design and just fun, like just fluid fun. Like it's just a great game. So it's like you can take whatever that is as biased as you want, because obviously I'm somebody who worked on it, and I love Street Masters. You know, when that came out, I think I've told the story tons of times where like I didn't play much between playtesting and when it came out, but when it came out I got the final product. I played like 4 or 5 games a day, like for 3 or 4 months straight, like just nonstop. I just could not stop playing it. And it's, for me, it was just because of the modularity. It's like, oh, I'm gonna play this stage with this boss, and like that's, I think, probably about, I'd say 75% of people who love Street Masters, that's the linchpin of what makes them want to like engage with that game. It's like the gameplay's fine, but it is like, it's flawed, and like there's a lot of games that are good that are flawed, but yeah, long story short, it's a fine game, but this game blows away.
I think Street Masters probably excels more for the solo crowd, right?
Yeah, like I think it's most people who like it probably like it because they can get a nice, fulfilling game solo. Because if you play like Beyond 2-player, it's a drag, like it drags on.
I know one of our playtesters, one of our VIP playtesters, I think Street Masters is his favorite game. So no, I'm not trying to disparage people who like that game or anything like that, but it's just for me, I don't think I've played Street Masters in years, and I don't really ever feel the need.
Yeah, well, you weren't as much of a solo gamer. I know you play some solo games, but there's like this different type of like brainwave, I think, with solo gamers where that game just clicks really well. And I think because when we were designing it, I was like probably the deepest I've ever been in solo gaming. So.
I think I would play this game, Mouse Adventure solo, when we get it. I think I'll play it a lot.
Especially
solo,
when
probably.
Redacted is introduced, and you get to play with all those Redacted.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Speaking of. For now, I totally don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, well, that's pretty much it for the blacklist stuff. Like, I just wanted to mention that again.
Don't ever mention it again.
Like, it's a sign that like our reach is expanding. We're reaching people who aren't looking to know about us. So,
no, but like I said too, it's honestly, it's what do you call it? Something we expected, it's like something you expect to see, but it's nice that it's been minimal. And
yes, I'm talking like 5%.
Yeah, and even those, like it's only been like 1 or 2 really negative ones. And most of them are kind of like they just don't know and they learn like, okay, I get it. And my best advice to those people, if they happen to be listening, or if the word gets out there, like my response has always been, that's fine if you gotta be you gotta like believe in what your money's going toward. You got to be comfortable with how you spend your money. So feel free to just watch, like just follow along, and you follow the campaign, don't back it, but like you can see us how we deliver, and then earn your trust back.
And again, if you are somebody who is out of money because of something Blacklist did, like the worst thing you could do to try to get that is sabotaging our project, because what we're trying to do is to build a foundation to make those games, get those games to you, make them available somehow to you. So like Brady said, if you don't trust us, fine, don't trust us, but you can sit back and watch. You don't have to take it upon yourself to warn people away from us, because what we're doing, we're trying to build a business to make our games available. That's all we want to do. So again, watch how this project goes. If you don't trust us, fine, don't back us, but please don't try to detract people from backing us, because that's not going to help anybody. Like we want to be able to get our games to you. So that's all I have to say about that, I guess.
Yeah, and luckily it's just like it's barely, you're talking to like the less than 5%.
Yeah, they don't. I'm not part of watching this. Is fine. So it doesn't matter.
Everybody who's watching, yeah. So let's talk about. We've already talked about updates for.
Oh yeah. So this is the other thing about updates. This is something that you touched on, but we can dive deeper into this. So we've had quite a few gameplay previews out there from Steve. I always get their names. It's a solo co-op.
There's Co-op Guild, which is Steve and Kim, and then there's a one-stop co-op shop with Mike and Peter,
and then Gaming Rules. Paul did that one, and I think that's the one we've shown so far.
There's I forget what Brian's channel is. Brian did a preview on. I'll put his channel in the comments. I forget his channel.
Those reviews, you can see playthroughs of the demo kit content.
And Liz Davidson hasn't done a video yet, but she mentioned she'll probably do like kind of an overview, like a discussion video, because she actually sat in with the playtest. Me and her.
Well, let's get to that after we get to the first part. So we got some feedback from these previewers. Yes, it leads into that though, is what I'm saying. So we got feedback from some of those previews that some of the content seemed a little easy, or not enough stuff was happening on the villain side, the scheme side. So we initially designed the content in the demo kit was the first content we designed. So the heroes went through quite a bit of iteration, but the schemes and villains they started off with what's in the demo kit, and then we progressed from there. And usually Brady focuses on all that stuff because I like to focus on the hero stuff. That's how we split things up usually. But we also wanted to keep the effects as simple as possible, to try to like focus on the core systems of the game, and also not make it too difficult so people learning the game could have fun with it. But with the previewers we gave it to, they're seasoned gamers. They know what they're doing, so they picked it up really quick, and they kind of crushed it. Also, I noticed a lot of them rolled a lot of criticals.
Way more criticals than I've ever rolled.
So that definitely has an impact. But anyway,
I think the main thing that like people were looking at with the video, with the content in the demo kit is like, I guess maybe there's a lot of people coming from Street Masters, because a lot of Street Masters content was very, very like, I don't want to say overwrought, but there was like a lot of complexity. And we've steered so clear away from a lot of that with stuff like Hour of Need. So especially the two scenarios, or I call them scenarios, the two encounters and the villain in the demo kit were the most bare bones that we could put together, because we wanted to focus on the mechanics. We wanted to get across, here's how this game works, without too much bogged down between like, oh, how does this encounter work different than this one. So it might have been a little pulled back too much in that regard, because ever since we've started retweaking things based on this feedback, we've kind of like reassessed a lot of the content. And now like when we play through the demo kit contents now, as it stands now, they're not more complex, but they're much more I would say more strategic.
There's more things going on. We wanted to get rid of any kind of dead effects, because before we were trying to keep things simple, but simple sometimes also means like nothing happened or something. We don't want that to happen. So we took some feedback from all the previewers, and we made some changes to clarify some of the rules, but also just clean up some of the effects. Eventually, it started getting a little too hard. Like Brady made some stuff a little too difficult, where it was killing people. But we had this idea early on that you can see in the demo kit, if you have the demo kit, that the scheme tokens were double-sided. There was a grayed out side and a colored side,
which was for expansion.
I'm gonna say that. So that was forward thinking, where we were thinking maybe we can use this in the future, like an expansion where we can like deactivate schemes, because we wanted to keep the rules as simple as possible in the core set. I say that they're not like simple. The rules are still pretty beefy, but we wanted to try to keep it all the exceptions out. But anyway, long story short, Brady had an idea to implement that idea in a simple way in the existing rules without too many exceptions. So basically, if you've watched the playthroughs, we'll give you an overview how it changes now, where anytime a villain goes into a scheme, an area with a scheme token, if that scheme token is inactive, it'll flip to active. And if you draw that an event card with that scheme, if it's active, that scheme effect triggers and the villain moves there. So it's basically like kind of escalating how the schemes work. And then also, if you defeat the villain, it wasn't that impactful before, like in Act 1 and 2, but now if you defeat the villain, the players can choose to deactivate a scheme. So you kind of, okay, let's slow these schemes down. So it has a little bit more granularity and more things are happening, and it just kind of clicked, and it made the game 100% better, I feel like.
Yeah, the minor thing that was happening with like in the demo kit, if you watch these playthrough videos, and this might be a boring design theory discussion, but hey, it fills time, so you got a podcast to fill here. The villain like was this moving threat, but at the same time, the threats rarely triggered. It was more just like you were moving the villain just to kind of like warn somebody, hey, something might happen here, but it's the luck of the draw. So like if you don't draw that token, it doesn't matter. So the activating the schemes was a way to kind of make it matter more, because like he moves there and it's going to stay ready to go, ready to pop unless you do something about it. Thanks, buddy. So that solved that problem. And then the villain, defeating the villain wasn't, like Adam said, it wasn't that appealing, because like you're not getting a loot out of it, a search card. You're not getting much reward except for slowing the game down, or slowing the...
You're stopping the treachery.
The treachery effect, yeah. So.
And like, you know, that it has an impact, but it's not, you don't feel it.
Yeah.
We want everything you do in the game to feel cool.
Yeah.
And that was one thing where the game was working, it was challenging, but it didn't have that, like you could lose the game, but you never saw it coming. It was kind of like we wanted to have that more gradual, you know, push and pull of the challenge of the game.
Yeah. And plus, like, I love stuff like those active and inactive threats. Like obviously that was something we did very consciously with Street Masters, and it worked really well with how the stages were designed. So, just pulling back from something you've done that worked before, you just kind of re-explore those things in new ways. But it was a natural thing, and it's almost like a subconscious thing. We put those in the game, and like they were for something else, but like they were there for a reason. So now we made better use of it, and it just, well, like Adam said, overall just makes a better game. It's more fun, it's more tense, more exciting. So.
It's always that challenge of the game design where you want to kind of not add too many rules, too many exceptions. And initially I was like, that's another rule to remember, like another thing. But also it's design space, it's granularity in the difficulty.
But it's also very like organic.
Yeah,
like
it feels natural when you're playing.
Because when you're moving a villain, it's like, oh, he's going to that grayed out token. That means he's going to flip it. It just feels like it's supposed to happen. So that's how it kind of came to be. It's like just playing enough, you kind of see like, oh, this is how it should have been. So that's why it feels so good now.
And speaking of our videos, I also wanted to call out Paul's video from Gaming Rules. He had a very complete playthrough of Acts 1. Is it 1, 2? He did it 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yeah, he did a full. Yeah. No, I think. Well, he did like a one test game. Then he did like 2 and 3 was like the final game.
Yeah. So and anybody watches that could see it went on for like a good 3 hours, I think. And there was a lot of discussion, like tactical choices and things like that. Now I will say, in our playthroughs we played with 3 people recently, it was like an hour. I mean, it was quick.
Yeah, Liz got through an encounter in like 20 minutes.
But we weren't doing a live stream, we weren't discussing things, we knew how to play the game. So I think that while Paul's video is a great example of learning the game and the strategy that comes with learning the tactics of that, it's a great example of that, but I don't think it reflects a normal play time. Like I think he mentions in the video.
He talks about that a lot. Yeah.
But I don't agree with the hour per, or like half hour per player.
Well, those are so skewed because it all depends on their game group. Because his game group, and I don't know those people, I don't know him and his game group personally. I just know Paul from talking to him online. But they seem to like love like analyzing things.
Yeah,
and,
like,
we don't do that. Yeah, we just like keep things moving. You know,
me and Brady's turn is like a minute long or something. Like, I'm doing this, I'm done, I'm done.
Because like I like to play to see how things happen, and the game is designed to kind of play to both those crowds, because there is a lot that you can like analyze and dig into, but also if you just want to like just see what happens, the game is like it's just play a card, choose a card, do a card, flip over an event. It's like really fast. It can be really fast if you want to.
We typically don't analyze every option, but you can. Like, and again, that's an example. Paul's video is a great example of that. And I also want to shout out to Paul. Thanks for doing that. It was a great representation of the game. That's showing off all the things you can do with it, and also gave us lots of ideas for things we can do to improve it. So we've already implemented a lot of that. So
a lot of the scheme effects because like he got the updated schemes in his playthrough that were like before our team had really digested them. So like he got like a preliminary ones that were way too hard, and the guy I think that's why his game went on a little longer, because there's so much minion spawning and stuff. So we've since like kind of pulled back a little bit on that.
Also, I wanted to shout out to our playtesters, because they've been focusing more on the newer content that we were producing, and so the demo kit content was kind of finalized kind of months ago, to lock it in so we could start like working towards the demo kit, but they've been giving us so much good feedback for all the other stuff, and they've also been working on these other things that we can't talk about just yet. Follow the Game Found if you want to learn more about that.
It's a few weeks away, but
there's lots of things in the game that you don't know about yet, and it's going to make this core game just a really robust box of adventure. It's the game is, the title is very fitting because it's a box of adventure, man. It's pretty much one of the most I think the most proud I've been of a game design we've worked on. I think that it's probably our best game.
Yeah, I was reviewing the most recent rule book this morning in bed on my phone, like on the Dropbox link, and just making sure the most recent changes are up to date, and just scrolling through the rule book. It's like you kind of take a step back and like thinking, because we've done a lot of games, but this one feels really special. Obviously, it's like the first game we're doing on our own, so like that's a huge thing. It's also based on a book series that I really obviously like a lot. So
I will say that too, that as I'm reading Withered Roots, anybody who isn't familiar with the story, like it does give you, it gives you so much more inspiration about the game. Like, playing it, like you read about these characters and then you realize, oh, I can I've referenced this Ruins of Arcath from this game. I'm reading about this now. So it's like these little things that you can kind of connect, and it's why like licensed games are so popular, because people like get into the setting, and these books will do that for you. Like these books will, give you this fantasy setting, read these characters, it'll make playing those characters even more impactful. And I think one of our playtesters also was talking about that as well. Like he just feels like so much more engaged in the game now that he knows all these characters and stuff.
Yeah, that person was messaging me on Discord privately, like a little upset about a certain character in the game versus how they appear in the books, and I'm like not in a bad way. They were just like I didn't think this was gonna happen because of the so and so's in the game. So
spoilers. Yeah. So all that being said, we've already taken to heart feedback we've gotten from previewers. The thing is, a lot of them are like, I love what this game's doing, but these things could be better, and that's what we want. We want it to be as best as possible. So we've already taken steps to address those concerns, and I think we have a pretty much what we want out of the game. Like it's feeling really good. We just updated the tabletop simulator. So those of you who are playtesters, we encourage you to dig into it, see how it feels. We're very happy with it, and I want anybody who sees online people talking about the playthroughs and their concerns, point them to this video. I'm not sure we can show much. Like, I don't know if we want to do a live stream about the tabletop simulator, because I don't think it's fun to see the gameplay. But we will have a rule book on the GameFound page, so they can actually see the rules themselves, and see all the changes. But yeah, I think the changes are pretty minimal, mostly cards and stuff like that. But the scheme flipping, that's the biggest change, and I think that it adds a lot. Even
that alone, it's like not. It's honestly not. It's funny how small of a change that is. I mean, it has big impacts, but it's such a subtle thing.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 little paragraphs to tweak in the rule book, and that was it. And it's like, but yeah.
Questions? Podcast questions?
Was there anything else I wanted to cover? Maybe the podcast questions will. Do you have them open?
I'm confused because the green check mark means we answered. But did we talk about Paul's question about the Heroes of Terranoth deal?
Yeah, we discussed that last episode.
Did we? Because I remember I was going to say so maybe I was drinking a Negroni at the time and I forgot. But I was going to mention about how it's more formality. But I guess we already discussed it. So
we only have a couple questions here from Zeke.
Oh yeah.
Zeke says, I know it's far off, but can we get any design info on the general style of game planned for Relic Myers, or is it still too soon? I think that
it's funny that it's timely, because we just had a heated discussion about it yesterday on the phone.
Heated? I don't think it was heated.
Well, heated doesn't always mean competitive or confrontational. It just means there was emotions involved on my end, because
it must have been heated on his side, because I didn't feel that at all. I was just kind of
yeah, heated might be the wrong term. Anyway, tomorrow is February 1st. I do these weird things where I'm like, all right, I'm going to write a book in a month, and it's like a way to just kind of keep, because I am so easily distracted, so I have to pretty much lock down. I'm going to do 2,500 words a day until I have a whole book written. Now, the Relic Myers book 3, the Melody of Maladies, is going to be...
I thought it was Melody of Madness.
No, Maladies. Melody of Maladies. It's going to be a pretty hefty book, so I'm not going to try to write it in a month, but I am going to try to write 2,500 words a day. So I'm starting that tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be my first official day of writing the third Relic Myers book. What?
Melodies of Mayhem? I thought it was going to be.
That's Tommy Lee's band.
That's Methods. That's Methods.
It's too close. No, it's always been Melody of Maladies, because I love how hard it is
Tommy
to say. Anyway,
deep cut.
So yeah, I'll be starting that tomorrow, and my proposal to Adam was hey, we have a couple other game design projects that we need to tackle soon, but I feel like we should just go ahead and just try to, because we almost designed this in a month. Like this was around Gen Con last year.
Well, the core system, I mean, like the structure of the game.
It spills over, obviously. That's what I mean when I say like design a game in a month. I mean enough that we can start commissioning art. We can like start mapping out components and everything. So that's what we're going to be trying to do in February. Like we're not going to like set a hard, because we got a game found thing to run. So we're not going to like try to set a hard deadline, but we are going to try to start digging in tomorrow. And I guess all we'll really say is we want to make an adventure game. We want to make it maybe a little lighter than we're used to designing.
He had a follow-up part of it. This might go into your answer. He said, is it more Arkham Horror or Eldritch Horror in terms of scope, town, house setting versus global adventure, things like that. So I think he knows the kind of game.
Yeah. Much more like, I'd say much more Arkham Horror. Like you imagine Relic Myers Town of Laramie on a board. Zoomed out in that regard because it'll allow, like, some of the inspiration I'm taking is I've been playing that Witcher Old World game, which you didn't like very much. I really, really, really like it. I mean, like the production mostly, and
it's not like I disliked it. I didn't like.
It's a little overwrought for what it is, but like it's not a bad design, but like the way the rules are written, like I feel like you go in with different expectations or something. But it could be a pretty light game. It's just
it just makes me want to play like Talisman, where I just go to a location, draw a card, and like Arkham Horror.
So that's where we're gonna get the most inspiration from. It's like we love games like Horrified. We love Arkham, Arkham Horror. I prefer Eldritch Horror, even though it's zoomed out. But
I prefer Eldritch Horror, like from the design.
Mechanics,
I like the Arkham Horror, like concept
Same
more.
thing,
Just a town.
So you imagine more of like a streamlined, or like something. If you imagine how the Sadler brothers might make Eldritch Horror in a small 1990s town, that's kind of like what we'll be aiming for. So it's more intimate, just leaning into the theme. It's not going to be like a lot of people might assume because it's like a music game, like a music theme. It's gonna be some kind of music, or it's not. It's gonna be like a traditional game, kind of just old school adventure game. So we're not aiming for any like innovative mechanics or like we're just gonna keep things elegant, thematic.
We do want to make a solo friendly. Obviously, it's gonna be a cooperative game,
modularity for sure.
Obviously, a jousting game. Obviously, medieval. But yeah, like I think that the best way to describe it is we want to make an adventure, like an urban adventure game set in the 90s, and it much more narrative feeling than mechanical. We want that old school Talisman feel where you just go somewhere and see what happens and you deal with it. You maybe get some allies or gear, and there's some overarching threat of like some villain that's got its own little scheme you're trying to stop. And I feel like that's where Arkham Horror really comes in, where the villains. What do they call them? The old ones? Is it the old ones?
I always confuse the ancient ones, or I think it's old ones, but
whatever the Cthulhu or the god you're fighting kind of determines what's going on in the game. So just imagine a villain having this mechanic where they're spreading disease around the town and you have to stop it or stuff like that. So
I think the game really needs to have the monster of the week feel, like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer feel, where it feels like you're just playing an episode. And I like that about like Cthulhu Death May Die by Simon. It had that kind of like, it was just a campy old TV show, like a serial or something, where you're just playing this episode of something. I want to aim for that so it feels like you're just playing through like a classic retro horror episode.
What was that game? Was it called A Touch of Evil that Flying Frog did? Touch of Evil, that kind of
the gothic one, or
that something like that too is a good example of like
that one's a little too close to Arkham Horror, but I mean it's
that type of game. That's kind of
that's what I was talking about too, because in Touch of Evil they have like little minion tokens that come out and do things. I would prefer that, but they would be like just like a figure, like here's my dream is like in the old Arkham Horror game the FFG did, they'd have this little like small box expansions of just like here's a little small box card expansion, and then they had the big expansions. Well, this game would be cool if like the small box expansion was like a box of like 10 figures or something, and it's like, oh, it's the what's the, I can't believe I forget the name, the Scrimkins and Harmony of Hexes, the little goblins. Like it's the box of little goblins and a mechanic on how they can overrun the town. Like things like that, where it's just like little cutesy things like that reference the books. And
this one also, we want the game to be a little smaller scale than Mouse Adventures. So like less minute. Like we do like the idea of miniatures. We've also exploring, acrylic standees are cool. But the thing is, we love working with Tom, so I kind of want to keep
I try to make the games that I want, and I feel like if I was a fan of Rolex Myers and there was going to be an adventure game announced, I would be probably a little bummed out if I didn't get figures.
Yeah,
so I think
that's the weird thing is I like acrylic standees, but when it comes to games, I just like even Talisman, for example. I keep going back to that. But you open up that box, there's a nice little tray of like 12 miniatures for the heroes. That just feels cool. I always like that. So.
And it's probably a little more bloated, like Flying Frog has that game Fortune and Glory. I love that. It's like a coffin horror, but it has like you have the faction of Nazis or the faction of gangsters or the faction of cultists. They just like plop down and they act as little pawns just around the board, but they have little rules that come into play. I like that feel too. So I would like to do figures. I want to do figures, but like in a more minimal approach. Yeah. So it's
in my mind, ideally there would be figures for the heroes and the villains, and that was it. Yep. I like miniatures, but I would want to keep it lighter.
I think that's expansion stuff. Like, because like instead of getting a box of, because like this IP doesn't need a ton of new heroes. Like you can have some, but like a little expansion would have like
it could be a normal size expansion, and it could have a bad guy figures and then maybe one hero, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but like I'm just saying it shouldn't be.
I like minions. I like minion figures. Like,
it shouldn't be built into the core system. I'm saying
no,
it should be
fine.
Like
I want an expansion of Scrimkins is all I want. I want Scrimkins over around in the town, and that's my dream. So.
If an expansion was minions that you would go to a location, it would have a deck of cards. You have to draw this card because this minion's here and it does something.
They're just pawns.
That's fine. Yeah. This is how we design games.
You can see where we're going with this. You know what you're gonna get. You know what to expect from what we would do for this game.
there was one other question Zeke had. Been watching a ton of movies, which I always do. Don't need to answer this in the episode, but we are. Too bad. Think about. Can you list some movies you feel have influenced your board game designs the most, rather in gameplay or theme?
Robot Jocks.
I think that movies influence like everything we do. Like
movies are a key thing because like it's funny because I do a lot of interviews for my book stuff now, and people always ask what I read when I grew up, and it's like I didn't read it all. I just watched movies. That was my whole thing. Is I read as an adult. I started to get more into books after high school, but I was mostly just a movie kid. I just loved watching movies. I think. I was joking when I said Robot Jocks, but that's like one of the big ones I always go back to because we want to do Wreck Warriors, and it's like I keep thinking about Robot Jocks all the time.
Lord of the Rings, I think, is a huge inspiration for me because honestly,
that was fantasy.
I was always into like we played HeroQuest back when we were kids, and I got into Warhammer. But honestly, when I finally watched Lord of the Rings on DVD at Dad's house at the time, that kind of made me like realize just how much I love fantasy, like how much I thought that I liked. But I didn't really understand because I never knew about Lord of the Rings. I knew everything.
The term fantasy wasn't really a genre to me growing up. It was more just like fantasy was like your imagination, but like fantasy as a genre was like solidified more through.
Well, it's weird.
It's Power Metal and Lord of the Rings for me.
It's weird because Warhammer. I got into Warhammer before I even knew what Lord of the Rings was. Yeah. So like Warhammer is obviously just pulled from Lord of the Rings. So like
did they even call it Warhammer Fantasy back then though, or did they just call it Warhammer?
I mean, it was called Warhammer Fantasy Battles, I think.
I don't think I ever called it Warhammer Fantasy.
Because I had the rule book that said Fantasy Battles down there. But anyway, I think that really was a huge inspiration for me to like get into fantasy. I mean, I will also say Star Trek in general was a big inspiration for me because so many different episodes of Star Trek, they touch on so many different themes and concepts and just settings, like different planets they go to. Different things they have to solve, issues. It just so much stuff in Star Trek was a huge inspiration.
I think I should mention it's not a movie, but a TV show.
Yeah, that was a TV show. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I spaced that you said the space TV show, but Walking Dead, that one, like when we were early on in our game design career, because one of our first big games was The Walking Dead: No Sanctuary, and I remember vividly. Like we were already fans of the show when we started working on that, but like watching that show, I think like just naturally tapped into like our game designer brains because like so many of those early episodes were like game scenarios, where it's like they're trying to do this, like they're planning this course of action to evade some zombies and try to get some resources, and it's just a board game, in action. So that. Like when we were designing that game, I was pulling from that stuff from episodes, and it's like, wow, this is like designing itself, man.
Also, this is kind of goes without saying, but all those '90s action movies we grew up with, really pretty much are the reason why Brook City ever existed. It's like that was why we designed Brook City, was, you know, Lethal Weapon and Tango and Cash and all those movies we grew up with.
Writing Ransom Creek Remains was like just tapping into Tango and Cash and all those buddy cop movies, and then like more recent stuff like True Detective and just like creepier stuff, and just like it worked out.
I think True
well.
Detective was the catalyst to want to do that books. But
Season 1,
all of it was inspired by that stuff. So yeah, definitely movies.
Oddly enough, I think season 3 was almost more inspiring, even though I love season 1 more. But season 3 with that, what's that guy? The actor's name, like the guy that gets the belly when he's older. I forget. It's that really deep voice. Is it Steven something?
The memory issue, where he's got the memory issue.
Yeah, but
like
his partner,
right now.
his partner's name is Steven something. Like the actor's name is Steven something. I forget. Great
from
actor,
The Lost
though.
Boys.
Was that?
No, not The Lost Boys.
He's thinking of Kiefer Sutherland, or like Donald. That Kiefer Sutherland? Yeah. But anyway,
He was in that too.
was he?
You go ahead and talk. I'm going to go look it up real quick.
It was Stephen Dorff.
Yeah.
Right, Stephen Dorff, yeah. Great actor, awesome voice. But yeah, anyway, that was another show, True Detective, which is more recent, obviously. But I mean,
he was in Blade. That's right. That's what I remember from.
But yeah, that's all our podcast questions. So if you have any questions you want to grill us with, go on the Discord. You'll find it. You can just go to our website, twintailstudios.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll probably see links in the comment in the description. I'm too lazy to do any editing anymore.
Well,
we're having pop-up links and stuff. So
we'll try to do another episode before the launch, just to kind of, you know,
or on the launch, because if we launch on a Tuesday, we could have an episode drop on a Tuesday.
Sure, as long as we don't do a live stream. I don't want to do a live stream because it's so, like, I remember we did that for Street Masters Aftershock, and like we were just sitting there and the funding wasn't moving. It's like, this is so embarrassing.
I think but I don't think we had as many followers back then. I
don't know. Yeah. It's going to be too stressful because this game, obviously, we wanted to fund more than anything. But
do a live reading. I can just read through this.
Oh God, nobody wants to watch that. Just play the audiobook or something. Anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much it for now. The game's in great shape. We can't wait for you to check it out when it's funded. So,
back it, buy it,
yeah,
get it.
So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.